Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football, Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about Sam Howell, the quarterback out of North Carolina, is my dude, Logan Landers. How's it going, Mr. Landers?
What's up, Jeremiah? It's another great Monday. We took last Monday off, me and you. It was me and Vincent last week, but the band is back together, man. Happy to talk some football with you as always. And we got a good one today with Sam Howell. A lot to talk about.
Yeah, and so, we've been getting through these draft profiles from the last draft for the 2021 draft. And, as we got to the end of that, we realized, after the draft picks all settled, that you, Mr. Logan Landers, had some huge picks that really came through. You were able to give us all the information all the way up to the draft so that everybody knew, who the big picks were. But also, I just want to put it out there. I would guess the teams themselves, the NFL teams, probably watched our draft profiles and thought, well, if Mr. Landers is in, I'm in. We're switching our pick. We're going with Logan Landers' pick. So I'm sure that happened over and over again throughout the 2021 NFL draft. And so just setting us up for the 2022 draft, I just want to hear everything that you have to say about Mr. Sam Howell, out of North Carolina, the quarterback. You say that is he a sophomore or a junior?
He's going into his junior season.
Whew. So then he is a huge pick coming up for the 2022 draft. So let's hear, Mr. Landers, what makes Sam Howell special and what's going to get him drafted in 2022?
Well, before we go with his college career, let me just go back to high school a little bit and give you a little background on why this guy was so heavily recruited, why he chose to go to North Carolina, 4-star recruit. And I'm just going to read you his total career stats at his high school, at Sun Valley High School in Monroe, North Carolina. So he stayed in North Carolina. He loves that. He loves the town. He loves the city. He loves being in North Carolina. That's why he went to college there. So in high school, Jeremiah, this guy was very impressive. He threw for over 13,000 yards, 145 touchdowns. Let's see what else, man, because this guy has done a lot. Over 800 pass completions as well, and looks like 1,300 attempts. So that's pretty solid, I would say, coming out of high school. I think he had a really good career there, as you can tell by the numbers, obviously. 145 touchdowns throughout his tenure there with 800-plus completions. You can tell this guy loves to sling the ball. His coach in high school obviously thought the same. And whenever he went to North Carolina, man, he's been doing great there ever since. It's just kind of a shame because a lot of people were saying that if it wasn't for, Trevor Lawrence, obviously, being the number one overall pick in this past draft, that more attention would be on Sam Howell at the North Carolina Tar Heels. And I feel like that now that Trevor's moving on to the NFL, about to start his career there with the Jacksonville Jaguars, that's why we're doing this early draft profile on Sam Howell, because this guy is impressive. Oh, my God. This guy has a lot of potential at 6'1", 225, good frame, good build, everything that you like. He's got it. A heck of an arm. Like you said, like I mentioned that in high school, but it translated well into college as well. This past 2020 season, I was looking up his game logs, and the best game he had was against Wake Forest in November. He threw for 6 touchdowns, over 550 yards. So he was absolutely slinging the ball, 32 of 45 also, so a pretty good completion percentage as well. So that was his best game, and man, he was just lighting up defenders each and every year. And how could he not? This guy has a ton of potential. He threw for 3,586 yards, 30 touchdowns in total, and only seven interceptions this past season. So he was up there with some of the better quarterbacks in the 2020 season. But I feel like now that, like we said, this past draft was very quarterback heavy. All the big names got all the attention last year. But now it's Sam Howell's turn. It's his time to step into the spotlight, to help out North Carolina this year, and to really get things going and boost his draft stock even more. In 2019, let me go back to his first year at North Carolina. He had a pretty solid season as well. He had 38 touchdowns, 7 interceptions as well, 3,641 yards. So in these 2 seasons, and last year, don't forget, let's not forget it was shortened also with the COVID illness. So he's been able to be consistent for his first 2 years in college, throwing for over 3,000 yards, throwing for over 30 touchdowns, throwing for under 10 interceptions each season, and doing so at a very good completion percentage each and every year, at above 60% for each of the past 2 seasons. So this guy has all the tools you want in a good quarterback. He's got great arm strength. He's got good pocket awareness. He can get out of the pocket and scramble a little bit. He can absolutely throw the ball with the best of them in the NCAA, not just the ACC. He can go up against any quarterback in terms of arm strength. And I think that Sam Howell has all the great abilities to be a good NFL quarterback when his name is presumably going to be called after this upcoming season. He's going to play probably one more year at North Carolina. If he has a great season like he's had the past 2 seasons, I don't see why he would stay. I think his draft stock is high. Scouts are really going to recruit him heavy this year and want them to be on their team. And I think he's already got a good fit for an NFL team, honestly, just based off of arm strength and how he's able to manage games as well. So this is a very, very good prospect, and I'm happy we're talking about him and showing him some love because, like I said, there wasn't much attention on him last year just because of all the amazing quarterbacks that got drafted this past draft. So it's his time to shine now, man. I think he's one of the better recruits coming into this year. I think he's going to get a lot of attention, and rightfully so. He's a heck of a ball player, and I think he's going to do great things for North Carolina this year. And whenever he gets drafted, watch out, man. I think it's going to translate very well because he's healthy. He's got a great arm, man. You can look at the picture here we got if you're watching us, man. He's got good arms, good 24-inch pythons, we like to call them here. So he's got everything you want, man. But I like Sam Howell, and I think he's going to have a great season. Oh, it looks like you're muted.
Yeah, I got to agree there. You've got a quarterback, and he's in a position like that, then he could spend these next couple years really making a name for himself and becoming one of those, players to know coming into that 2022 draft. Well, not to put you on the spot, but what are some of your world famous picks for where he might land?
Oh, man, there's a few teams that could use a good quarterback. Just the top of my head right now. The Washington football team, they don't have a franchise quarterback at the moment. They have Heineke, who they re-signed to a 2-year deal. They don't know if he's gonna. If he had a good game in the wild card last year. They're not too sure if he's going to be their future or not. I think that Sam Howell will be a safer pick to go with. Honestly, the Denver Broncos also need a new quarterback. I think I'm not a huge fan of Drew Lock. He hasn't done too much for them this past year. I thought they were going to need Justin Fields. He was available. They went a different route. So I think the Broncos could definitely use another quarterback as well. As for another team, man, I think the Houston Texans are in play also. You don't know with Deshaun Watson with everything going on. They might have to go a new route and get a new quarterback. So I think Sam Howell might fall into their laps, and he's got all the potential in the world, Jeremiah, to be an amazing quarterback in the NFL because he's done great things in high school and he's done even more amazing things in college. So far, he's looking really fresh, and I think that if he continues it this year with his great trend of play, he's obviously going to be a top pick in the next year's draft.
Yeah, I got to agree there. Well, for everybody watching, tell us, do you feel like Sam Howell will get drafted in the 2022 draft? What do you think that he needs to do between now and then to become a top draft pick? And what do you think North Carolina is going to do this season? For all our North Carolina fans, let's just hear from you guys as well. Let's hear, what do you think is going to happen with North Carolina? Because obviously, if North Carolina has a great season, then his draft stock's going to go up. If North Carolina makes some noise, even though they're not one of the big teams people talk about constantly, they could become a team, that makes some noise between now and then. And that's just going to raise not only the draft stock of Sam Howell, but the other players that he's connecting with on those routes and the players who are, getting those touchdowns on the other side of his throws. So everybody watching, make sure you hit us up with those. And thank you so much for watching on Twitch, on YouTube, over on Facebook. And if you're not listening to us yet on our podcast, then please jump over and listen to us on our podcast, 100 Yards of Football. You can listen anywhere that podcasts are available, including Spotify or over on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. So just listen to us every day. We have a new podcast that drops pretty much every single day, and we're really excited about that. Thank you so much, Mr. Landers, for all the work you do behind the scenes to put our podcast together and get everything moving. Well, for the entire team, I am Jeremiah Long, the producer, and you've been listening to Sam Howell's 2022 draft breakdown with my dude, Logan Landers. So for the whole team here at 100 Yards of Football, we'll be right back with another live video in just a couple minutes. Until then, see ya.